Thank you. My first show was pessimistically called Elegy to Nature. And I've worked in that area ever since, doing things about nature's beauty and nature's demise. This work is a place in Alaska. Once upon a time, there was a beautiful, beautiful wilderness called Alaska. And it's still there, but it certainly has shared its beauty with a pipeline and various other places. This second piece is what could happen if we don't preserve our areas of nature. This was a California redwood that we visited. And one day there were redwoods, and the next day there was clear cut, which is called by the lumber companies making open space. This one is dealing with the Mythmaker series, where the woman goes on a quest to try to find what's the meaning of life, what do I want to do with my life? And in this case, it was someone who decided, I'm going to try to save nature. It's rather a big order, I know. But nevertheless, this was what it was. And this particular piece was one that I did when visiting the Blue Mountain Center, which is a place that offers respite to artists, activists, and various people that are concerned about nature. It's a place where you go canoeing and go on nature walks, and it's quite magnificent. This was the Galapagos, and this was something I couldn't resist this place. I was reading something about Melville. Take 5 and 20 heaps of cinder, dumped here and there in an outside city lot. Imagine some of them magnified into mountains, and the vacant lot the sea, and you'll have a fit idea of the Encantadas or Enchanted Isles. And there was something about this particularly poetic stuff that Melville wrote that made me want to go there. There was tremendous lava everywhere, but there was still greenery and magnificent animals. They had these tortoises that were 150 pounds that would live 150 years. This is one of my drawings. I was so admiring of these creatures. This one was actually, this particular work is about 8 feet tall, and it just overwhelmed me, and I thought of it as something that should be preserved and looked after. The tortoise is not doing all that well. This whole series, the idea of painting and drawing animals, their endangered areas where they live, as well as their possible extinction, spilled over, and I've done about a dozen of these. They're hugely difficult. They're all rolled up in the rafters of my bedroom because this one was something that happened. We were driving through Elizabeth, New Jersey, and it was the most hideous experience. It brought tears to my eyes. There was a complete devastation, and in the background was a billboard, and the billboard was advertising, let's go out to dinner, let's have this wonderful stuff. So I did a whole series about billboards, using it as the great American icon. It's the thing that tells us to buy, tells us to use, tells us to destroy, actually. And if you go to if you've driven into New York City recently, see, the billboards have become actually brilliantly lit, and they're digital. This one is dealing with the extinction of the plants and animals. This is a Vanishing Butterfly, dealing with the butterflies and the insects. I don't know if you've noticed, but right now I've got a garden that has blossoms, and there are no butterflies or bees. This billboard was amusing to see. And as you drive into the city, you'll notice that there are a number of billboards that are vacant, and some of them have a message accusing us of not supporting workers because we aren't taking an ad on the billboard, and that's what we should be doing to keep the economy alive. This one was a memorial piece. This was, I know 2001 had the most dreadful experience in all of our history, probably, and a number of artists, including myself, attempted to try to deal with it by painting something. And I did a series of paintings, and that was one of the ones. This one is dealing with the drought. It's called Searching for Water. And it has happened in various places where the water holes just simply dry up, and there's nothing left but a black pit or a green pit. This work was dealing with the idea of Babel. The Babel is an old biblical term, but I was thinking of it in terms of today, where the communication line is so difficult between people. We don't seem to have a good rapport, and it's as if all different languages, but we're at cross purposes as well. This one was an industrial scene. This was inspired by Elizabeth, New Jersey, and, and the idea that as you go through the wilderness, you see this is the period of man, Anthropocene. People have taken over, and this is the kind of material we have. Giants marching across the earth. This one was one of the ones that have a memorial to Oklahoma City, which is one of the most dreadful things that also has happened in this particular country, that somebody would do this explosive thing to our own people, incomprehensible. This one is dealing with the global warming, and I was thinking of the idea of the earth cracking open and heat, and I used these glitter effects because it's like thinking of when you go to a dump and you see the sparkly glass, and you see little sparkly things that are sort of trying to make it look better than it is. This was a tribute to a trip down the Grand Canyon. The rafting in the Grand Canyon is fantastic. One president will save the wilderness and the national parks, and someone comes along and tries to undo all that. And this one was an imaginary thing of a tanker in the Grand Canyon. This last one is for fun. This was a painting that painted itself. I have a huge piece of paper. I cut a hole in the center, and I poured all these different bottles of paint and color, and they all drained through the thing, and it became a picture that just sort of happened on its own. Thanks.